Um, Today I have the pleasure to introduce you to the GESIS community data collection, and this is a very basic introduction to our data holdings here at GESIS and how to find data from our community data collection, how to access data. And this is gonna be a very concise presentation and consequently a quite short talk. It's about 15 minutes, but I'm very happy to answer questions about all our data afterwards, at least if I'm able to do so. So the outline is I will give you some basic background on our data services, shortly introduce you to the basics of the community data collection, and give you some hints to navigate through our data holdings and how to locate data in our GESIS search and access various data from our community data collection. So first of all, I would like to situate the GESIS community data collection in today's talk within our data services here at GESIS. So our data-related services are mainly organized into three pillars, so to say. So the first pillar is data sharing or data deposition. This was the topic of Oliver's talk. This is about digital preservation and sharing of data. So primary investigators coming to us and would like to share the data, and we give them a platform and the services they need to share and archive the data. The second pillar is finding data. So the other great user group of our data services are people who want to do research or teaching and want to locate data that fits their research questions or purposes. So we're providing access to all kinds of data for these purposes. And the third pillar is about getting ready for research data management. This involves RDM, so research data management training. So we provide here basic workshops for people who like to learn how to effectively manage the data, and provide consulting services for greater projects who would like to be informed how to optimize their data management practices. This is going to be the topic of a talk from my colleagues Anja Perry and Sebastian Netscher, one of the upcoming talks. So basically we're navigating in the middle pillar about finding and locating data. So a little bit of historical background. As some of you might know, that GESIS is one of the oldest data archives worldwide, founded back in 1960 as the Central Archive for Empirical Social Science Research at the University of Cologne. So basically we are collecting data and archiving data for 60 years, which in other words mean we have a lot of data. And we have our data holdings roughly divided into two main data collections. The first one is the GESIS data collection. These are studies in which GESIS is more or less directly involved in planning, conducting the studies, collecting data, and so on. So we have a very active role here, and very famous examples are the German General Social Survey or the German Longitudinal Action Study, where we have dedicated services and offerings for these kind of survey programs. And these are also the topic of distinct meet the data formats. So what is, to some people at least, less known is that besides the GESIS collection and the studies we're very involved in and are very prominent, we have a wealth of other data here at GESIS. And this data collection, where we're not directly participating in the data collection or conceptualization of the data, are called the community data collection. And these are basically data which are handed over by the scientific community to us for data preparation, long-term archiving, and distribution for them. So this is a quite high stock of data. Currently we have over 5,000 data in our holdings from the community data collection, dating back to the 1940s. I think the first study is dated on 1945, and at this time data were archived in small cards with holes within. So we have a stock of data. We are still in the process of making them available in modern data formats. But nevertheless, 5,000 studies are a very big stock of data, and they're mainly from the fields of sociology and political science for historical reasons, but we also get data from other fields of the social sciences such as economics, social psychology, education, and so on. So the main purpose why people use the data are, of course, for secondary analysis and also for replication, and as well as teaching. So this is one of the more very prominent purpose when we ask people about why they access our data. They're very prominent in teaching. So over 5,000 studies are a huge amount of data. So we recently introduced thematic collections to organize data according to popular topics to help researchers to better navigate through our data holdings, which could for someone quite overwhelming. And currently we have 15 thematic collections and 2 special or hot collections, as I sometimes call them. So we have data on prejudice and extremism, which will also be the topic of our upcoming Meet the Experts about right-wing extremism. We have data about migration, gender relations in academia, in cooperation with our Center for Women in Science. We have a lot of data about environment, climate change. Of course, we also stock new kinds of data, which are currently gathered in our digital behavioral data thematic collection. These are data pertaining, for example, to social media and things like that. We have historically, due to the historical reasons, very much data about elections and political attitudes, education, foreign policy, children, youth and family, religion, crime, social inequality, aging, healthcare and science. And the hot collections I mentioned, these are very temporary collections which are installed given current political and social issues. And we have recently introduced the COVID-19 special collection, which gives an overview of all data holdings related to this topic, and a data collection especially for the topic of the conflict in Ukraine. And we recently also worked with the other data communities to enrich our thematic collections. So we're in a constant process of adding data and adding new collections. So watch out to see future data collections on the field you're working in. Here's just a small snapshot from our GESIS search. So you can see where the largest amount of data currently are stocked in terms of the thematic collections. So as I said, we have historically a very strong focus on electional data and political attitudes and all kind of government-related data. Migration, integration, prejudice is also our focus of our community data collection, as well as education. So now I will like to give you a short introduction to our GESIS search interface, which is the main interface and the point of contact for finding and accessing our data. So the GESIS search is basically a multi-purpose search interface. You're not only able to search for data, but also for variables stored within our data, for measurement instruments, publications, our own GESIS library, and of course our GESIS website. But for the purpose of the current presentation, I would like to draw your attention to the research data button. So if you hit this button, you see a lot of entries, over 60,000, and of course these are not all data holding here at GESIS. The reason is that we also include metadata from other archives we have relations to, and I will show you how to filter this according to some criteria in a short minute. So this is basically the search interface, you have in this gray area have some filters, and the larger white area is the area where all the hits are shown. And when you like to navigate through our data holdings, through the community data collection and all other holdings, you have a lot of filters available for your purpose. So you can filter our data, for example, according to topics, which is not the same as the thematic collections, because the topics are standardized categories from the Chester topic classification, which comprises of over 19 topical categories, and the difference between these topics and the thematic or topical collection is that the topical collections are curated by us for inclusion into this collection. So for example, there are a lot of public opinion data like the Politbarometer or Deutschland Trend within our holdings, which from time to time pose single questions on a topic, for example migration, which would not qualify to be included in a topical collection, for example. So you are able to filter according to all this facets, for example, author, publication year, geography. The source filter is the filter I mentioned, where you can restrict the search for data holdings provided by us. You can restrict your search to collection year, to some methodological aspects of data you're looking for example, a mode of collection, sampling procedures, for example, if you like some non-probability or probability-based data. Temporal research design pertains to if this study you're looking for is more longitudinal or for cross-sectional. Analysis unit at the individual level or higher aggregated levels, and the kind of data pertains to numeric, text, or geographic or other data. So for an example, when you look for a study, let's say you look for a study from the field of prejudice, would like to doing research on anti-Semitism, and you would hit the prejudice button, and you would restrict the search to all the studies pertaining to this topic. Of course, you can also doing a more Google-like research search here at the search string here over there. So type the category of anti-Semitism and locate all data related to this topic, and afterwards you're also able to filter according some methodological or content related aspects. So I just picked up one study from this collection. It's called the Thuringia Monitor. This is a repeated cross-sectional study for illustrative purposes. So if you would hit this study in the hit field, you will get this detailed view about the study with a lot more information about the study. What is interesting here is the primary investigators, so you get the DOI, the current version of the data. So we have a very quick overview about some core information. You get an abstract which summarizes the content of the study in a more journal article style, and you also get information on the content which pertains to the single variables which are included into the data set. Here the Chester topics which I mentioned, which are much richer than the thematic collections. And when you scroll down, you get more detailed information on methodology, for example, the data collection dates for the whole series of repeated cross-section, and in this case also for every single study conducted within the series, on the coverage of the target group, number of units, details on sampling procedure, research design, etc., etc. And also on the analysis systems and the data formats we hold here and are available for downloads. This also includes biographical information, the detailed view on these data sets. What is especially interesting are the version fields, so you get information on the current version and what have been corrected in earlier versions and errata, and things like that. And also some information on reference publications and the opportunity to download the APA or other format citation. So when you have located the data, you're of course interested in downloading the data, because this is a very interesting study, I suppose. And you have this gray field on the right hand side, which includes all the download information, but all actions like bookmarking the study. So when you're looking for a couple of studies, you're able to bookmark one or other studies. So, but when you go to the download field, you're first able to have a view on the questionnaire to get a more detailed information on which was measured and which was asked within the survey. And you get other documents if it's available for this concrete study. In this case, you get a very much great package of methodological reports, and what is especially interesting here in this case, this is a repeated cross-section or trend study. So we provide a correspondence list with all variables over the cross-sections and in which year which construct was measured or asked. So finally, when you hit the data set button or a data set type, you get this pop-up window where you would be able to download the data. All data which we hold here at GESIS requires a login. This is because we would like to make sure that everyone reads the terms of usage, and also make sure that people downloading our data for scientific purposes. And finally, also we are the publicly funded institution, so we have to, of course, report who's our data. And so when you log in and be patient, you're securing that GESIS will be funded for the next years, because we can demonstrate how many people of you download and use our data. So thank you for this. So interestingly, there's the download field, so you can see in which formats the data are available, in this case as a SPSS and a Stater DDA file. And you also get information for every study on the availability or the access categories. So the data we are holding are structured in different access categories depending on how sensitive the data are and on interests on the side of the data depositors. So we have 4 main categories. Category 0 are data documents who are released for everybody, so there's no restriction on using the data. We have category A, which is restricted to academic research and teaching. Category B is for some studies for historical reasons, where you can analyze the data but need a permission to publish the results. But in practice, this pertains only to a very low number of studies. The highest access category is category C, which involves studies which are, for some reasons, are sensitive data and are not for download without restrictions. And there are basically 2 kinds of versions here with the category C. The one version is that we require for certain data to sign a data usage contract, which will be forwarded to the data depositor or the primary investigator for permission. And if they sign the contract and give you permission, you will be able to use the data off-site. And for the data which are very sensitive, for example, we have data in the about migration, where we have very detailed socio-demographic information about migration history and things like that, which are deemed very sensitive. We have an option for an on-site access in our secure data center here at Cologne or Mannheim, so you can sign a data access permission contract and will be able to analyze data here in our secure data center. And this will also be a topic of an upcoming talk from our colleagues from the Secure Data Center, which give you more information about how to access this very restricted kinds of data. So I hope you get a quick overview about our data holdings, and I could raise your curiosity about getting to know and navigate through our data. If you would like to get in contact with me, here are my contact details. And yeah, thank you for your attention, and I'm very keen to hear questions about all things related to our data holdings. Here just a quick link about the upcoming talks. Some of them I already mentioned. And so I would like to slip into the Q&A session.